Good day, my friends, and welcome back once again to Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles. My name's Chris. I'm the Batman statue collector, and on this channel we do high-end statue collecting reviews, unboxings, and so much more. But today we have a very, very special treat. I can't believe he's here on the channel, but we have with us today the lead character artist at Prime One Studio, and I'm talking about Wandah Kurniawan. Absolutely fantastic to have you here on the channel. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi Chris, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's an honor to get interviewed like this. So, hey everyone, my name is Wandah. I'm from Malang, Indonesia. I've been working on a 3D collectible as a sculptor for more than 5 years. And I currently work as a lead character artist for Prime One Studio.
Well, again, thank you so very much, Wandah, for being here. It's so cool that you're here on the channel. And so many people know of your incredible art. Of course, I'm talking about this Batcave edition right here, the Batcave Hush. Very, very popular piece this year. And of course, you sculpted that piece. Obviously, we also have the Punchline and Joker coming out. And of course, you have been working on a lot of other pieces as well over the years. But I did have a number of questions that I wanted to ask you. And the very first one is this. How did you first get started in the art field, and can you tell us a little bit about your art background?
Okay, so since I was a kid, I was really interested in toys, and I was also interested in making the toys using a clay, like the plasticine clay, the toy clay. It's quite cheap, and I really like it a lot. Like sometimes I went to the toy store to check out the toys, but I ended up going back home and then create my own toys using the reference from the toy at a toy store back there. And then yeah, I really like to creating my own toys. And then when I grew up, I suddenly interested in the 3D. It's probably because I really like watching Jurassic Park, and then when I was a kid I exposed to a lot of 3D animation like Starship Trooper and then Transformer Beast War, and then I also like to play video games, and then suddenly I start learning 3D, and then I hoping like someday I able to landed up a job in the video game industry or maybe animation industry. Mm, Back then, I still have no idea if collectible toys is do did in 3D. The Back there is it's not very common. And then I suddenly like in I think in 2012-ish, I think it's I started to see a lot of statue company. There's like a and nowadays there's like more and more toy company using 3D, and then 3D printed it as a statue. And after I graduated from the college, I tried to work freelance, and the freelance back then is I worked my first time is working on a Devil May Cry 4 statue. It's a huge diorama. It's about 1 meter length, I think. It's for a company named KohnHead from Singapore. Mm, that's my first time working on a statue. But before that, I think I work for freelance for several company like animation, advertising company for 3D, making a 3D character for them. And then after that, I tried to join a company in Malaysia. It's it's a game company, a triple A game company. I work on a several project, mostly for Capcom. It's for Street Fighter 5, and we mostly create a costume, DLC costume for Street Fighter 5. And then when I work in that company, I still doing the freelance job for KohnHead company. I did quite a lot statue for them. And then after a year, I go back to Indonesia, and then I try to focus to working on a statue company. And I try to email like every statue company that I know and hoping I'll land a job on one of them. And then yeah, I get some of them give me a project to work with them.
My next question is, do you tend to sculpt digitally or do you sculpt more traditionally with clay and other things like that? And also, what challenges arise when you use those mediums?
I use zebras for every statue that I work professionally. Uh, I like to use zebras since I started learn 3D, and it's it's actually the first when I learned. It's pretty hard compared to another 3D program since it's pretty different. It's we need to use a pen tablet which have a pressure instead of mouse, and the hard part using zebras is probably like learning the interface at the first time. But at the moment, since I learned zebras for pretty quite a long time, now I'm like able to do anything that I want in zebras. Probably the like the hard part probably like guessing how it turned out in the real statue form, since it's all put in the screen instead of traditional sculpt. We can know how the statue will look like in the real 3D space. I tried traditional before to get a real feeling of it, like using clay. I tried using like pepper clay and then chavan clay, but a lot of people say like the traditional is like a basic that we need to learn. But for me, it's I don't really enjoy doing sculpting with the traditional way using the clay. It's a bit like too messy for me. I have no experience on it. I just watch a video on YouTube how to do it. So by creating an armature and then a lot of stuff that need put into consideration when sculpt traditionally. So that's why I prefer to work in ZBrush until now.
All right, so question number 3 is this. Can you tell us what drives you as an artist? And also, are you influenced by other artists that you work with or other artists that you see in the community?
For my style, I actually like to sculpt between realistic or anime, somewhere between them also. But people probably know me like having art germ style. I like art germ works. He worked really beautiful, and I also have a opportunity to work with him before on a statue project back with Connecticut. I sculpt my Shiranui. He gave me a lot of feedback and really like show me how things work. It's really nice, and I like his style because it's like somewhere between realistic and stylized, and all his drawing looks amazing, and I really like it. My other style that people know probably is diorama. I like sculpting diorama since it's like show interact between two character or more. It's like it's usually like interaction between like maybe like someone versus someone or someone together with someone. Is like, and I like creating a good composition in diorama since diorama have like a lot of stuff like need to be arranged into some specific shapes, like how to create like leading the eyes of the viewer to a certain point and then move to the other, something like that. I really like doing that, especially the process of the blocking out the creating the composition. I really like it. For reference, I don't have specific reference. I usually gather a lot of picture from anything, everywhere when I start working on a sculpt. Usually it's like a 2D illustration and then 3D photograph, etc. For other artists that influence me, I think it's like anatomy artists. I really like work from Daniel Bell, Steve Lord, and many more. I really like how they sculpt the muscle. It's so beautiful, and it's really like logic, like how to see how the movement of the muscle, each muscle moving each other, is really cool. I like to approach a lot of style. I'm trying not to limit myself in a certain style.
All right, so I have to know what statue company first showed interest in working with you that was impressed by your artwork.
The first company that show interest in my art is Kinetic from Singapore. One of the co-founder, Adib, he's interested in my videos in my YouTube channel about making a Monster Hunter fan art. Back then I create a lot of Monster Hunter fan art and then recorded it as a time-lapse tutorial and upload it in YouTube. And then since Connecticut have a license for most of the Capcom IPs like Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, and then they offer me to create a statue with them. The first statue that I work on is, like I said before, is Devil May Cry 4 diorama. It's contain like 4 character that can be arranged into one long diorama. There's a Dante and then his devil form, and then Virgil also in his devil form. And then it's quite challenging project since it's my first time working on a statue project. Usually I work on the like 3D model for video game character and for animation, so mostly it's just a T-pose character that I pose a little bit. But since that time is work with Kinetic that really well known for their dynamic action, it's quite challenging, but they really helped me a lot, especially a Deep is he's helping me with the pose, like how to create this and that. It's really fun project. Actually, the first time I have no idea what Devil May Cry is. I never played a game before. I only played the Devil May Cry 3 before, but it's like just the early part of it, and I'm not really interested back then. So when I have that first time hearing the Devil May Cry 4 project, I try to gather a lot of reference, like to see the gameplay, the cutscene, and trying to know how's the character and how they behave. And then, yeah, it's finally, I'm really happy how it's turned out. That's my first statue, and thank you so much for them. That's to try put the trust in me into to work on that project. It's becoming my first starting journey on the collectible industry.
All right, so what companies have you all sculpted for?
The companies that I sculpted for before is Kinetic is Singapore-based company. I work a lot of Capcom product with them, like the MC4, and then Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, and then I also do SNK character, Mai Shiranui, and then some other character from games mostly. And then I also work with XM, another Singapore company. I work for them is creating Supergirl, and then I also work with Kids Logic. I work on Saint Seiya sculpture. It's a golden saint, and then a company also work for a company named Kantaku, and then McFarlane Toys also. I did a diorama statue with them, and then also some action figure for Game of Thrones, and then Labyrinth, and then lastly I worked with Prime One until today as a lead character artist.
All right, my next question is this. How much input do you have when sculpting for a company? Are you always given like an art direction, or are you given kind of free reign to design what you like?
For the art direction, usually I got from my creative director. It's usually like they gave me the concept art, and then like it's he asked me like not to follow the 100% of the concept art. It's usually like just make like probably like how the statue final look will look like, and then usually the licensor usually send us like character reference for the statue that I work. Like every character like usually have like front view, back view, and then a face close up. So our task is like try to get as close as possible with that style of the each character. Usually I also like try to put into consideration the about the company style. Like for example, like Primon style, which is usually like have a lot of details like clothing texture, etc. So some of my anime project with them is usually like have a lot of detail. You know, the anime usually like a simple like the clothing has no texture, but since I work with Prime One, I try to add a lot of detail as much as possible without changing the character essence. And then usually first I try to also try to gather a lot of picture of the similar product. Like for example, I try to find the previous product from another company, and then try to learn from there. And then you, most of the statue that I did in Prime One, usually like I have a lot of freedom doing it. Like usually the limitation is just like a feedback from the licensor. Like they usually like having their own view of the product, so that's their own product, so we need to follow them.
Now, I know that you've worked on multiple projects with multiple talented artists. What is that collaborative effort like? What is it like to work with these amazing artists on a singular statue?
Yes, I work on multiple projects with other artists as a collaborative effort. I think for a collaborative, it's pretty good. Since with Zebras, we can easily send the files to other artists. So for example, I got the files from other artists, and then I can fix some parts, and then I can send back to them. And also in a collaborative effort like this, we did what we good at. So for example, like I'm good sculpting a certain type of character, while other artists good at the other stuff. So I think this collaborative effort is makes everything easier and better.
Now, that Joker and Punchline from Prime One Studios recently unveiled, and of course, it's absolutely incredible. But it's also inspired by the art of George Jimenez. What was it like to work with him on this process? Can you kind of give us some insight into what that was like?
Joker and Punchline, it's very fun projects. I really like it. It's the first Punchline statue out there, I think, and it's have a really cool concept. I really like it. Like we can display the statue one by one next to each other, but we also can combine the two into one single diorama statue. Uh, George give me very good constructive feedback. Like usually after I'm done with the sculpt, we send a screenshot to him, and he show us what can be improved. Like for example, the face, the proportion. He tell us what he wanted, how the statue will look like, and of course we have some challenge. Uh, Back then we got a feedback from the sensor, and yours also help us. Like he created draw over to make us easier to address the feedback. It's really good to have a original artist involved in the process of creating the statue.
Now, the Hush Batcave edition has been incredibly popular among fans. I've heard people say this is the best Batman statue ever created. What does that mean to you personally to hear that kind of love and support from the statue collecting community?
Actually, I didn't really expect that to become hits. Of course, I'm very happy with that. Thank you so much for the support. It was quite challenging project, I think, since it's worked by several artists, several other artists. So my creative director gave me the project to fix. Like I did the mostly like working on the composition and adding the bats, and then fixing a lot of stuff and anatomy, the cape, the Bruce Wayne hat, and then yeah, I'm very happy how the result, and it's really nice to see how the fans response. Of course, our main purpose as a sculpture is like try to deliver what the fans want. So thank you so much for supporting.
So I have to ask this, do you have a favorite sculpt out of any company, out of any project that you've worked on, but do you have a favorite sculpt that you've ever done?
My favorite sculpt that I work on, it's a bit hard to decide. So since I put a lot of effort on my every single statue, but my favorite one is probably near Automata diorama statue, since it feels like I put more effort compared to the other statue that I work on. Since I'm a fan of the game also, and I also really like the character design, also the statue design, I really like it. And also I really like how it's turned out as a statue, and to see how the internet react to that. A lot of people like it. Also Square Enix showing the video on their page. It's really fun experience.
All right, so I have one final question for you. Is there any characters that you haven't done that you would absolutely love the opportunity to sculpt or to work on?
Almost all of my favorite character I already sculpted it in Prime 1. So yeah, maybe I'm looking for more challenge, maybe like another crazy diorama statue, something like that. Or maybe like something from next gen games, perhaps. Probably anime. I'm a big fan of anime. I really looking forward to work on more anime project. Or maybe I like to sculpt my own original character. Like I want to make it a statue, something like that.
So there you have it, guys. Absolutely incredible. And again, I want to thank Wandah so very much for taking time out of his day to come here on the Batman Statue Collector channel. And I absolutely love your art. I cannot wait to see what you do in the future. And again, it is just so cool to have an art director here on the channel. And I absolutely thank you again from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show. So again, thank you guys so very much for watching. Again, I can't wait to follow to see what else he's going to to do over the next couple years. And if you enjoyed this video, please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Again, just thank you for taking time out of your day to check out this incredible interview with somebody that is so incredibly talented, that brings us this art that we absolutely are so passionate about. So again, thank you guys so very much. Please hit the join button down below for early access to our videos, other perks, and just again, thank you guys so very much. I'll see you soon right here in the Batcave. Bye everybody. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these two awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.